everyone. This is Renato Sogueco, AAF PFCI, and I'm with my co-host at Floriology, Jackie Lacey, AAF AIFD PFCI, and welcome to episode number 2 of Spill the Petals podcast. And today we have a very wonderful guest and a very good friend of ours who is also a retail florist up in Pittsburgh for Flowerama. And I'm going to indulge the audience by giving some details about Patti. So Patti has more than 30 years of experience in the flower industry. She currently chairs the Education Committee for the American Institute of Floral Designers and serves as a certified judge and evaluator. She is very learned. She holds a degree in horticulture and is currently the owner of the Flowerama that we mentioned in Pittsburgh. She has also been a grower in Southern California and a wholesale cut flower sales representative. So that's amazing, Patti. You've covered all segments in this industry. One of the more important jobs that she has is she is a proud mother of 2 beautiful adult daughters, Hannah and Sarah. Patti's shop was voted the best of the best in 2021. Congratulations on that. She shares her passion of the industry by presenting regularly at local garden associations and by teaching workshops in her studio. She continuously educates herself, setting new goals. Patti is once again working with clay, and is hoping to add master potter to her list of achievements. So, Patti, welcome to the podcast. And is there anything that you would love to add to that intro?
Well, I just wanted to thank you both so much for having me here today. I still hold the same passion that I've had for this industry 30 years ago, and I love chatting about it. So I'm excited to share my knowledge and hear what you folks have to say today, too.
Oh, you got it.
Help out there.
Well, the topic today is quite fitting because for you as being the guest, being a retail florist, because we recently received the latest research or data. Actually, it's not necessarily research from a firm called Sundale, and they claim that the number of retail florists will drop about 1% every year until 2025. So the current number of retailers, they say, that are in the business are 11,593. By the time we hit 2025, they're only going to be 11,000 flat. So loss of 5,000. And this is part of a bigger trend. Just for context, Jack and I were talking about it. In 2005, how many florists were there, Jackie?
We had 50,000.
That's amazing.
I mean, it's less than half every 3 years.
2005 is when I became a retailer. And when
so you started when there were that number of florists, and in that time,
correct. That kind of is mind-boggling that we've lost so many of our professional peers in the last 17 years. When Renato first said 11,500, I had to clarify that number to make sure, seriously, that's how many retail flower shops that we have across the United States. That number actually was really surprising to me, and I'm ready to go on Flower Shop Rescue if we have to, because the need for having artistic floral designs being presented in a harmonious way and being there for your communities. I couldn't imagine the communities of people that have to rely on mass market. And I would think that that's where some of the space has been filled with. So,
well, you've got mass marketing and DIY, and you can buy flowers even at some of the major home improvement stores. Everyone wants to sell flowers these days, so competition is stiff.
So but let's hark back to 2005 till now, and that huge drop in the number of florists. Just in conversations that I've had in the industry, I'm just going to throw out one of the main reasons, if not the reason, for a huge decline in florists, and that's the internet. Would you agree with that?
I would totally agree with that because you're right. That's when things really started to um, come into play with people being able to, the amount of space that existed between the grower and the consumer has
Mhm.
just continuously gotten smaller. I mean, a lot of good things have come of that. Back in 2005, that we, may not have still had the same type of work situation for people in South America and the pressure of the average consumer because it was able to reach the grower via the internet um, has has been a positive impact on the grower end of the business, but it has squeezed out some of our brick and mortar. I guess I agree with that, Renato.
I'm going to bring up some insight. I recently attended the Society of American Florists meetings in Orlando, and I was hanging out with a group of wholesalers, and and this reflects today's stat of that there are only 11,600 or so florists, that they said that the retail florist is not their biggest customer anymore. It's it's local groceries, it's DIY, it's studio florists. So florists have been relegated to like a second priority, third priority, um, client in their business. And back in the day, and on your bio, we had mentioned that you used to work at a wholesale house, and back in that day, the wholesaler was there primarily to cater and serve the retail florists. So I guess that says a lot. I mean, is that do you find and I'm just going to throw out there, do you find that working with your wholesalers that seems to be the case where you become a second tier client to them?
Yeah, but before we move on to that,
Yeah.
we have to own part of that. The floral industry has to own that we've let others take our space away. We have let others come into the market because we didn't want to sell anything below $35.99 or $25.99. We set those limits and said we're not going to deliver anything less than that. So we opened up the doors for people to take that part of the business away.
Patti, do you agree with that?
I do, and I think that some of this pivoting of this 11,500 probably doesn't include all the people that could be DIY out of the house, or
Mhm.
I left that flower shop. Now I don't have the overhead, and maybe they're just competition with you on events or weddings or things like that. But mass market has gotten very serious. I mean, my first straight a college, I worked for the State Department of Agriculture. I worked on an organic farm. I moved back up to the big city of Pittsburgh from West Virginia, and my very first job was mass market. I ran the floral department of a local grocery chain. And I quickly realized that we were a lost leader. Okay. And I ended up moving from that job to Pittsburgh Cut Flower because of their lack of dedication of floral. Well, that has changed since I've been a retailer. They do deliveries, their wire service, they're willing to stock. I always have this concept that you can't sell from a half empty cart. And mass market, the more they buy, the more they sell. And I have such recent success with my market and my community growing so far away that I had people traveling 45 minutes away for homecoming corsages last weekend because my peers, you're right, Jackie, don't want to make a corsage. And instead of telling people what you can't do, we try to focus here at this shop on telling people what we can do. And I had a gentleman that came in, could have bought flowers anywhere, right? Could have went to the Trader Joe's right up the road, and he always came in. His name was Jack. He just recently passed away. Jack came in for a $5 bouquet. $5. And my staff looked at me one time. I said, "Oh, no, 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 no. You give Jack, go pull $5 worth of flowers. We want to take care of Jack. Jack comes here more for the experience as well as the flowers. He could have went anywhere and spent $5 and probably got double the amount of stems if he had gone to some of my mass market competition. But his wife came in and we put a $5 bouquet inside the casket of Jack. And what a wonderful relationship and long-term word of mouth recommendation that Jack always gave me for the last 17 years, because I was willing to sell him $5 worth of flowers. So you've got to be willing to work with people for longevity. And I do think that we've opened the door to other people to take that void because people weren't willing to work with the client. Everybody's got a different budget.
So, question for you. I just zeroed in on your point about him having an experience, and one of the drivers for getting millennials to purchase from your shop is providing them with a great experience. Do you think that's one of the keys for retail florists to be able to stick around?
Absolutely. You have to be a member of your community, 100%. And that's not me saying that you have to make a donation to every person that walks in the door, because we're always, as being members of your community, as a small business owner, looking to reciprocate with the people that purchase from you. You got to set your own budget in regards to advertising and how you do it. But it really, truly is all about the experience. And I think some of the experience got lost there for a minute with the internet, and some of your demographics of your clients would prefer to push buttons on their phone instead of coming in and expressing the emotion that they're looking to express. But we create an experience. It is part of my training of anybody that's part of my team. You want to know, who are you shopping for and what occasion? And you start leading them towards the right things. And it gives you the opportunity to upsell as well, too. Maybe you're having a cash and carry special. Well, the cash and carry special is an opportunity to create a better experience and to step beyond what mass market is willing to do for you. There's not that much customer service there. And sometimes there's not a lot of maintenance. And I mean, bottom line for me, it starts with processing the flowers and how you care for them, and continuing that cold chain and moving all the way through the system so that you have a long-lasting product, a beautiful experience, and something that matches the, emotion or the feelings that your client is helping. So,
but don't you think, though, Patti, a lot of the answer is in what you just said. You have to be willing to make that $5 bouquet, be there for that $200 bouquet, service the funeral home, the hospitals. You've got to be there for all of it. It's not a matter of just, this is what I'm going to do and what I'm only going to do, because sometimes that niche is not enough to keep your doors open.
Totally agree with you. I mean, and maybe that's why people have gotten away from some of this brick and mortar and, to try to reduce some of their costs. But if you're going to be a retail flower shop here in the United States of America and survive and not be part of that percentage of shops that's going to close, I agree with you. And the fact that I have people coming from so far for my wonderful artistic corsages we are creating. I am loving it. Sometimes it starts with the corsage, right? You got a teenager, then it moves into the next dance, then it becomes the graduation flowers, then it becomes the wedding, then it becomes the baby shower. If you can grab this client as a teenager now over a corsage that you probably are sick of making too bad, they're beautiful, switch it up, start using some different flowers, get the vibe back, feel good about it. You can have that customer for life, and you are secure, and you will not have to worry about closing your doors. So
So really pick them off the tree versus off the ground.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you'd still
Exactly.
want to pick
Always.
those off the ground as well. I mean,
I want them both. I want them off
but,
the
you know,
tree, off the
Well,
ground.
wherever you can
I
get
want
them.
them from the neighbor's lawn.
So,
right.
getting back to Jackie's point about, the florist gave some of this away, and this is all anecdotal, but when we've talked to florists that are of friends of ours, many of them don't like doing weddings, you know, and that's why that segment, the studio florist, has grown so quickly in the last few years because
Right.
they've basically taken up the slack that the florist has given them. Would you agree with that statement?
Yes, I would agree with that. And sometimes um, a lot of attention needs to be given to brides
Mm-hmm.
who sometimes want to book a year and a half before the event, change their mind, meet with you, text
Change their
you.
mind again.
Right, exactly. So I am not surprised to hear that from your retail friends. I
Mm-hmm.
actually was having a conversation with my own staff because I think that if you are that retail florist and you want to pivot, I mean, which you got to pivot, you just can't say, I don't really want to deal with the $15,000 wedding anymore. I'd rather get my product of just doing personals for this real nice casual. I'm so sorry. I
Yeah,
thought
no,
I shut my phone off, and
it happens, and I'm sure you guys have been hearing the jets, I think.
right,
So I think everyone knows
exactly.
we live in Jacksonville, and there's an air base right
Uh,
across the river.
Thanks. I'm sorry about that.
No, go
Uh,
ahead. Go ahead.
so the pivot for me in the past year has really been focused on corporate accounts.
Okay.
And it's not that I quit doing weddings. I have weddings every single weekend.
Hmm.
And I do love my brides. And, my average wedding here in Pittsburgh to maybe do personals for a party of 5 and maybe put foliages around greens and things like that averages between $3,000 and $5,000 for me per bride. They're manageable.
Hmm.
I can get my product in front of 3 groups of wedding attendants that day instead of one that ties up my whole staff. So I have pivoted in that direction. Um, but I've also picked up some really large corporate accounts and some universities here in the area just because of relationships and one person leaving this college and moving to another college and was given $15,000 worth of custom work where there's 30 centerpieces for this, 20 for that over a 2-week period of time via email and with a credit card on file. So you've got to pick and choose where
Hmm.
you can make your most profit based upon how many staff you have. And it doesn't surprise me that people sometimes want to steer away from the real large event when they have a lot of bread and butter going on the
You
background.
you definitely confirmed, again back to that anecdotal data. They would definitely say that they would take a bride that comes in a last minute wedding and saying, "Hey, I got a wedding in 2 weeks. Could you help me out?" They will
Oh,
gladly
I
take.
love that bride. I
Okay,
love
perfect.
that
Okay, so
bride.
you're
I
confirming that.
love that bride. Yeah. Yeah.
But
I
the
had a
other,
bride that came in last weekend,
yeah.
party of 5. Something happened. I literally pulled all the flowers out of my inventory. She texted me before the reception, said, I loved everything so much. Thank you. It was such a beautiful thing. I mean, and it was from one day to the next. And that's simple.
There's one point that, and it was really a recommendation from this research of a way that the florist could um, stay in business is focus on the sympathy business. Do you agree with that?
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
It's important to have good relationships with your funeral homes. Some cities have, I've actually been doing some research with this, trying to talk to other flower shops. I guess I don't know if it's customary in my city. I don't hear of a whole lot of relationship percentage kickbacks. I do know that it exists and it is popular in with other in other towns, up to 35%. Um, that would be tough for me, 35%. I would feel as though I would have to mark up my product
Mhm.
so high to cover my costs to give that type of return. But just saying that, don't don't disregard it. Take it into consideration if maybe that's customary in your town to go out and actually visit the funeral directors. I am busy doing that myself right now. In this city, if it's not broke, people don't fix it. You know, it's like putting on an old slipper. You have to convince people to change sometimes, right? Or offer a service that isn't being offered to the client. For example, my mother passed away within the last 6 months, and there was quite a bit of flowers after the wake. During the wake, I had the luxury to send my driver to the funeral home to collect up all the flowers, all the gifts, all the sentiments that everybody sent us and bring them down to my shop. After the wake, why would I ever want to go back to the funeral home to have to go pick up all of that stuff, right? It's been a real long day. It's been a real long week. So I am going to try to offer the service to do that. If they give me a local address of one of the family members, and I'm
Mhm.
willing to take
Mhm.
everything at the funeral home, not just what I sent from my shop. And I'm trying to be more creative in how I can become the flower shop that they send every single family to. So, funeral work is very profitable. It's more profitable than brides in my world.
I think really what the information and the study is showing us is that we have to take all of this into consideration. Just like we've talked about today too, it's being there for every budget that is requested and being the go-to place where I'm going to purchase flowers rather than asking someone to go to mass marketing for this or for an inexpensive bouquet or go to a boutique to get something that's more upscale and full and pricier. We want to be that go-to person for everything, no matter what you're looking for, no matter what the event is. And those are going to be the shops that will still be around. In fact, we see them expanding. Just like you've grown during a period when everyone else was closing, you've almost doubled your business.
You're right. I really
Being
did.
incredibly smart, being very proactive, and staying on top of things. And that's really where we are in the industry and where we're going to stay for some time to come.
I agree. You got to be willing to change. You got to be willing to pivot. And, when we think about what has happened over the past, 2, 3 years, like, is it COVID? Was that, what has created this decline? Well, the decline seems like it's been going on for a little while now. For us to go, I didn't know those statistics before sitting down and talking to you, to think so many shops have closed over the last 17 years, or maybe just became a different entity, like we said, like the event
Mhm. Mhm.
florist, things like that. The retail floral shop that is definitely um, that had a hard time being there for their community during COVID is probably replaced. Because you could. I did curbside pickup and non-contact delivery. My governor deemed me unessential. I fought my governor. And I was deemed curbside pickup and non-contact delivery, just like restaurants. You had to go into it wanting to succeed, because if you're somebody who's been in this industry long enough, you know that historically during times of trouble, flower shops always do well. We're the emotion business. We make
Mhm.
people happy. That is also a proven fact. Less anxious, more happy. When you couldn't visit grandma, you sent flowers. When every other shop in my town, and I did keep my open signs off and things like that, but I was operating legally and I was super proud of what we did. Nobody here actually even caught the virus. We were safe. We also let people choose. in a world right now, you have to be okay with choices, and not everybody. It's all going to be personal preference right now. If somebody
Mm-hmm.
wants to come in with a mask, without a mask, with gloves, without gloves, credit card, cash, it doesn't matter. I'm willing to pivot. If you're handing me the money and you need flowers, I'm going to help you out. I put a tent outside my store in my parking lot, to accommodate outdoor shopping during periods of when people were sheltering, or feeling more nervous to come out. I think some of our peers got a little lazy during the COVID, because sometimes they're just randomly closed, or I want to close early, or I don't have enough business, I'm just going to close on Sunday. Well, you might have just missed $1,500 worth of funeral work because somebody's grandma passed away. So being consistently there. If you have an emergency in your life, we all know we do, we're small business owners, put it on Facebook, put it on social media, do it on Google. If you wait till somebody drives to your shop for you to be unreliable and not be there, again, you're probably not going to have them come knock on your door again. So,
well, Patti, we could talk about this for hours with all of the possibilities and all of the things that we see on the horizon. We can't thank you enough for joining us today and for sharing your inspiration and some of the success that's helped you get to where you are today. And we're so proud of seeing you grow.
Thank you.
Like you have, and being hopefully a little part of that. And we appreciate you being part of our floral family and part of the floral industry.
I thank you so much. And I always send very positive intentions to all of the floral artists out there to continue to have the passion. Keep fighting. You can do this.
We appreciate you being with us today and for sharing your time. And Renato, last words, where can we be found?
We could please subscribe to this podcast, The Spill the Petals, at Apple Podcast. Or if you are a social creature, you could certainly find us on our YouTube channel. Just check out the playlist for the podcast, and you'll see our last episode, which was our first, and this is our second. And follow us or like us on Facebook, and we'll certainly post the podcast there and post upcoming topics for this podcast. We don't have a topic for next. Oh no, hold on. We do have a topic for next time. I'm sorry. We do plan these things. So we are getting together with our partners. Oh, is that
collaboration?
Collaboration.
Partners,
yeah, with Syndicate Sales. So we're going to have Derek Woodruff and Jessica Kagaris on the next podcast, and we're just going to check out what's going on with them and their company, and clue you guys in to this great collaboration that we're doing with them on sustainability. So look forward to that podcast. And again, thank you so much, Patti.
Well, that really is going to be our trend. Mm-hmm. Like we've said last time, that we're trying to stick to 4 main topics: trends, design, what's going on around the industry, and technology in the industry. So those are the 4 topics that we're going to try to hit once a week. We're still trying to give it that college try and make sure that we do get it in there. And the last thing that we want to leave you with is just remember that there's no sense in crying over spilled petals.
Very good. All right. Thank you. And goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.